signs of life. Please don't tell me that the human race did not survive. There are no people in the future. There are no people. There are no people in the future. No people at all. There are no people in the future. Where did all my people go? There are no people in the future. Let me try my people call. Where are all my people? Where are all my people? I guess I'll fly away now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Yes, it is Friday. It is November 3rd. Yes, and we are just a few short days away from this year's school board and municipal elections. It's going to be something, folks. It's going to be something, I've got a feeling. There's no doubt about that. Sorry, I'm playing a little bit here with the levels. Welcome to Raging Chicken's Friday Politics Roundup. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken. Each week, we break down the good, the bad, and the ugly in state and national politics. You can help support this show becoming a patron for as little as $5 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/rcpress today. You can also help out the show by heading over to our YouTube channel if you're not there already. Smash that subscribe button, like the stream for this show, and hit that notification bell so you know every time we go live. And if you're one of our awesome podcast listeners, make sure to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen on. And leave a comment to let folks know why you like the show. Little things like this help other people find the show. On today's show, yes, it is all municipal election time. It is school board election time. It is state Supreme Court election time. It is county commissioner election time. It is the odd year election year. And there is a ton at stake, and that is really what we're going to be focusing on our show today. Do also have to give a little shout out to, I guess shout out's the wrong word for this, but an acknowledgement of the ongoing crisis in in Israel and the Gaza, where Israel has just announced that it is surrounded Gaza City now and is planning for a protracted and quote bloody war. And also, we see that Russia has upped its game, if you will, and started more assaults in Ukraine. Yes, there is still a war going on in Ukraine. And there's like 1,000 other things that we could put on the table here this week, because it is that kind of world that we live in these days. Say nothing of the climate crisis, say nothing of crisis of governance in this country. But since it is an off-year election and we are 4 days away, right, that's going to be our focus, as it should be, in my mind. Just a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, listen, for more PA Progressive Talk, tune to the Rick Smith Show's live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern on his YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get your streams. And subscribe to his podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Head on over to ricksmithshow.com for the latest across all his platforms. And check out the Sisters of the Night Caucus podcast. The amazing PA women stirring the political cauldron behind this podcast rock the house. And they know where the bodies are buried. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at The Night Caucus. That's at The Night Caucus on Twitter. And subscribe to their podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcast. And if you haven't heard, The Signal is that podcast from the Bucks County Beacon. The Signal is hosted by the Beacon's editor-in-chief, Cyril Michaleko, and produced by yours truly. Twice a month, The Signal will shine a light on right-wing extremist currents streaming through Bucks County and beyond. Cyril invites guests to provide insight, analysis, and organizing solutions so that we can steer the community toward calmer, saner, progressive roots. Check out The Signal at thebuckscountybeacon.podbean.com. And you must have also heard, right? You must have also heard about the Civic Circle, right? The Civic Circle is a new Gen Z hosted and focused podcast from the Bucks County Beacon. Give me just a second here. The reason why I'm pausing here is because the first two episodes of The Signal came out. And they had their, of course, this is what I want. Hold on. First 2 episodes of the Civic Circle came out, and they were part of the buckscountybeacon.podbean.com site, the Bucks County Beacon main site. But now they have their own stream. They've got their own stream and their own location. You can check them out at the civiccircle.podbean.com. Brand new episodes just dropped this week with the focus on, yes, again, kind of more local elections. What goes a review of what the different offices are in these municipal elections coming up, and a discussion with 2 of the Democratic Party candidates for the Doylestown Township Supervisor. Do check out the Civic Circle. Again, it's civiccircle.podbean.com. And if you want to kind of go and, check out the Signal, which is just becoming such an important venue, just head on over to buckscountybeacon.podbean.com for the Signal. Attention all you gamers out there. The Game Inn is a Quakertown-based black family-owned gaming store. They're friends of the show, and they've got everything for retro N64s, the latest consoles, video games for all platforms, collectibles, action figures, Funko Pops, walls of Funko Pops. You got a question about a game, look for something hard to get, they've got you covered. Check them out on their Facebook page or follow them on Twitter at The Game Inn, that's with 2 N's, at The Game Inn on Twitter. And shoot them a message or drop them an email at thegameinpa@gmail.com. I also want to give a special welcome to our new, we work sponsorship a little bit differently on this program. Normally you go out and you kind of seek out sponsors to help you fund your shows. Well, we actually kind of just we give shout outs to people that we want you to support, right? We don't give money. We don't get money from them to sponsor them, right? We just are trying to help them in what they do. It's, like this, but this newest one is an absolute, I was absolute joy to be able to tell you about this. If you are in the Kutztown area, at all, if you're driving through, if you're visiting for the day, if you live there, whatever it means, you got to check out the brand new Heart and Hearth Deli. The Heart and Hearth Deli is located at 466 West Main Street, Kutztown, PA. It is literally like kitty corner from the main campus. It is there's a pizza place right on the corner, and there's right next. It used to be the Uptown Espresso Bar, right? But the Heart and Hearth Deli is run by one of the people that I love most in this world, Colleen Fitzgerald. She is amazing. She and her husband have been running the Heart and Hearth Deli now for a while, and they've been running out of Renegers. They've been doing catering events, but they now have a physical location at 466 West Main Street. You can go check them out. I want you to go over and check them out. If you do nothing for me, leave them a comment. Let them know that you heard about them on this show. Tell them your support. Give them a follow. You can check them out at Heart and Hearth Deli, all one word, on Instagram. They are an American bistro. They focus on barbecue and French-inspired fare. They feature locally sourced organic ingredients. They're absolutely amazing. I brought home 3 different galettes that Colleen had made. One that with mushrooms, one with figs, another one we had this amazing, it was a sweet one that had these like little shavings of chocolate and raisins. It was absolutely delicious. You just got to go check them out. If you want to talk about someone who has spent decades, right? I mean, literally has devoted her life to searching out local farmers, to support local farmers and build relationships with them over the years, and is now bringing that all together in this space in Kutztown. Please do check it out. It is at 466 West Main Street in Kutztown. And also, if you're out there on the weekends at Renegers, you can go to check them out at Renegers. That's a kind of like a big farmers market in Kutztown. Do check it out. Congratulations, Colleen, on opening the Heart and Hearth Deli, and I do hope that if you all are out that way, you stop by and you pick up some delicious stuff. You will not be sorry that you did. You will not be sorry that you did. Anyways, everybody, look, if we want a progressive future, we need progressive media. Support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a patron of Raging Chicken for as little as $5 a month. Simply go to patreon.com/rcpress. We're here for the fight, and we need you. Become a patron for the price of a good beer once a month. Help keep the media in the movement and the movement in the media. Become a patron for as little as $5 a month by going to patreon.com/rcpress today. Well, everybody, like I said, we got a big day. I mean, look, chances are, if you're listening to this today, you know this already, um, but can hurt. It's a huge election coming up. We have the school board elections in the Penridge School District, in the Central Bucks School District, in Palisades, in Souderton, in Quakertown, in Council Rock. They're all up, and we know the stakes, right? We know that we have this completely unaccountable and Moms for Liberty dominated school board in Penridge that has completely thrown the district in disarray. We've seen teachers fleeing from the district to the point where the school board forced some of those teachers to basically stay through October because they already found jobs elsewhere, and they put in their resignation to say no, we're gonna hold you to October 1st because of because when they gave their notice or whatever like this. And now you have to give like the appearance that they actually had enough teachers to staff the schools. Those teachers have left, right? They can't take it anymore. They found, one, we know that the Penridge pays less than other surrounding districts. Two, they've watched their curriculum that they worked so hard to develop being kind of stripped away from them. Three, all right, the kind of national crazy politics have been brought down into this school board meetings and into the schools, and the teachers are like, I don't need this. And so they're out. The downside of that, in addition to the quality of education and what's going to happen with our kids, the other downside of that is that this is precisely the plan from Vermilion Education. The, Hillsdale College, kind of right-wing Christian curricular consultant that the Penridge School District hired. This was part of his game plan that he went and he kind of, told everybody about down at the Moms for Liberty conference, convention, meeting, whatever the hell you want to call it, revival, down in Philadelphia this summer. And the reason we know about that is because the Bucks County Beacon got a hold of a recording of Jordan Adams and put out the transcript of what Jordan Adams said at the Moms for Liberty revival meeting. And said, yeah, basically you want to try to drive people out so you can bring your own people in. We already know that the several, at least two, I believe, definitely one, but I believe it was been two in different occasions of the school board members have decided that they're going to start sitting in on interviews and set up meetings with new teachers, interviews with hiring teachers and administrative staff. Again, that is right out of the Vermilion playbook as a way of gaining control, right, and completely fundamentally altering the nature of public education and the curriculum at Penridge School District. We know that because of this school board and the Penridge School District, that teachers and social studies teachers and English teachers in the high school, the middle school, and elementary school did not have a curriculum when they started school this year. The school board forced through major curricular changes being proposed by that Christian nationalist Vermilion Education consultant that they hired unaccountably. And they did not vote on the approval of that curriculum until the night after the first day of school. So 9th grade social studies teachers didn't know what the heck that if they were going to be teaching what they had prepared, what they had spent all this time on developing, or if they were going to have a brand new curriculum that they were going to have to rewrite everything at the beginning of the school year. Turns out they had to rewrite everything at the beginning of the school year. All the while being blamed by said school board. Those teachers were blamed, saying that they didn't do the work. They didn't kind of do the curriculum development that they were asked to do. And that's why that's really why the chaos was there, because they didn't give the school board what they wanted. And then only later you find out, that school board actually told those teachers who were working on that curriculum to cease and desist, to stop working on that curriculum. And then they turned around to the public and blamed those teachers. And you wonder why those teachers are now wanting to leave. So that is at stake in the Pennridge School District. The thing is that there's two people who, one, we could call her the godmother of the current Pennridge crisis. That'd be Joan Cullen. And then the, I don't know, I think like I don't know, Moms for Liberty kamikaze fighter, Megan Bannis Clemens, who's willing to burn everything down, destroy everything. Neither of them are running this year, though. Right now, I know. Look, we've talked about this on the show. Joan Cullen has not voted mostly with the Moms for Liberty backed contingent of the school board. Right? She has raised significant and important questions about the process by which the school board has been making decisions. Not just saying, oh, you should have done it different, but rather breaking laws, not properly informing the public, about not properly informing the rest of the board of actions that were being taken in their name, about backroom deals, not adequately vetting consultants being brought in, not having an open process, doing underhanded things, making on the shot, that's, we've been over this, right? We've been over this. So Joan Cullen has stood up against that crap and said pretty explicitly that here. But let's not forget, she's also, if you go back to the same school board meetings this year, we were talking about Vermilion education, about Hillsdale College, about the 1776 curriculum being imposed in our school district. She proudly says that she is the one that first decided that they should be looking at the Hillsdale curriculum. She is the one that attended the rally outside of the insurrection in Washington, D.C. She is the one that was initially attacking students who stood up for gun control and calling them out and calling them communist and communist influencer, calling students this. So as much as I appreciate the attention to the law and process that Joan Cullen brought to the board, let's not forget of her legacy. But she's not running this year. And frankly, I could see why she wouldn't want it. Why would I do this anymore? You might not like Joan Cullen. You might not agree with her politics like me. I do not agree with her politics. I don't know her as a person, so it doesn't matter to me. But I am fundamentally opposed to what her politics. However, she was competent. Right? She knew the rules. As a matter of fact, that's where her power came from. Her power came from she knew the rules. She knew that she didn't have to kind of grandstand it. She just would patiently make sure she had a majority on the board and push through pretty significant and fairly radical changes, except she did them slowly over time. The new crew who comes in, the Moms for Liberty back people, Megan Bannis Clemens, Jordan Blomgren, right? Those two especially, Ricky Chaikin. Those three in particular. And they're two, I don't even want to give these guys names. David Rice, right? He was the chair. Like these guys were just like bumps on logs. They didn't say anything. Even when they were asked to say things, they were just their lapdogs. The Moms for Liberty lapdogs sat there. Right? But they were able to control it. The Moms for Liberty back crew, plus their two lapdogs, were basically able to push through all the curriculum, against the will, against any common sense whatsoever. And Megan Bannis Clemens was the tip of that spear. She's also not running this year. It's weird that she's not running this year, right? I mean, she has been one of the most power-hungry people on the board. She has been one of the ones that has been so outspoken about how horrific everyone else in the world is, except for her. She is the one that seemed to have, who ran most of the meetings But then something seemed to happen. Something seemed to happen. It's just interesting. So we'll see where she ends up, right? And I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon why it is that she really didn't run for school board. Then you got Jordan Blomgren, who is still on the board. She is not up. Her term is not up this year. Ricky Chaikin's term's not up this year. Right? So you've got a new crew, right? You got some new faces, and they're doing their best, right? These folks, the new faces, the Protect Penridge crew, they're doing their best to, basically say we're the fresh faces coming in and we're going to do all this stuff. They're the same. They're arguing for the same things. So it's a pretty big deal. So look, if you are in the Penridge School District, we need you to get out there and vote. We need you to get out there and vote for the Penridge Community Alliance candidates, right? I want you to go, right? If you don't know who they are, right, we're going to drop this link right into the chat right here, right? We're just going to make sure that everybody's got that one, right? You can vote for Carolyn Ciarino, Leah Foster Rash, Chris Kaufman, Ron Wirtz, and Bradley Merkel-Gump. Okay? Because these are look, you even had Ron Wirtz, right? Lifelong Republican, basically said, I cannot run as a Republican anymore. I cannot do it given what you people are doing. Right? And Ron Wirtz is he's actually a perfect example of what should be happening on a school board. Like, look, Ron Wirtz, he has supported some things that I haven't been behind, right? But I'll tell you this. I've watched that guy on those school board meetings. I've watched him actually listen to parents and reconsider some of the things that he has been discussing. And what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? So anybody who has any qualms whatsoever about whether or not they should vote for Ron Wirtz because he was a former Republican, do not hesitate to pull that lever for him. I'll tell you that. Because of that, right? I mean, if we are really truly saying that, look, school boards should be nonpartisan. These should not be places that our culture wars are being fought over. Right? They should be places that are basically saying, how do you provide the best education possible for our kids given resources? Right? That's really what you're talking about. And how do you ensure that your school district is best set up to help those students succeed in their lives? And yes, then there's also fiscal responsibility, right? It means that because school boards, public schools are funded by taxpayers, right? That also you want to make sure that that money is spent well, right? So and also be clear, by being fiscally responsible does not mean all you do is cut taxes, right? What it means is that you want to make sure that the money has the greatest bang for its buck to deliver the best education possible. That's really what you're talking about. So the Penridge Community Alliance candidates. Again, Carolyn Ciarino, Leah Foster Rash, Chris Kaufman, Ron Wirtz, and Bradley Merkel-Gump. What is their pledge? This is the pledge that they're saying. 1, repair the district's reputation with responsible leadership. There is no question that the reputation of the Penridge School District is in the tank. I mean, look, I hear talk around, I teach at Kutztown University, right? And there's a lot of, that's a lot of where students go and they become teachers. And there is a great awareness of what has happened at Penridge and what continues to happen at Penridge. There's a reason why a lot of these students who are studying to become teachers do not want to do their student teaching at Penridge because they think it's, it's chaos. And, again, they wouldn't be wrong about that. Second pledge, represent the entire community regardless of municipality, age, or party affiliation. All right, this is what I was the kind of thing I was just talking about with Ron Wirtz, right? If you're going to listen to people in the community, right? Not basically do what a party says or take some kind of national talking points and kind of implement them, but actually seriously try to think about how you do best possible. And there's the best way to do that is you make sure that you are working in partnership with your teachers and the community, right? You want to have the experts who know curriculum. You want to have the teachers that are kind of like are well-trained, right? Well compensated and supported, right? So that they can kind of, bring the most every single day to their classrooms. You also want to restore local control and terminate the contract for Vermilion Consulting. Absolutely. Wasteful. Talk about wasteful spending. A contract that has no end. Refocus district priorities onto student achievement. Yes. Respect our professional staff and empower them to work alongside parents. Yes. Reduce wasteful spending and make conservative decisions with our tax dollars. Right? Now here's a perfect example, right? If this was a normal year, right? Or no, not even a normal year. If these folks get elected, right? I'm interested in having conversations about when you say you want to refocus district priorities on a student achievement, what do we mean by that? Right? How can we expand the discussion beyond just test scores? Right? That's a cool question to have a discussion with school boards, right? How do we think about that? How do we measure this stuff? How do we kind of like come at this, this problem in a way that is most beneficial for students? Right? And you're talking about making conservative decisions with tax dollars. What does that actually mean? Right? Let's talk about making effective decisions with tax dollars. Right? And I understand why they're doing it in terms of a campaign, but those are interesting questions to me. Right? Those are really interesting questions for me about how to have those conversations. And not only that, that's just their pledge. Then we could actually have questions about like what to do for the future of the schools, right? I think about things like, I mean, I've said this 1,001 times. You have a solar in the schools program, right? That has trying to be pushed through at the statewide level. What would it look like to make Penridge schools, right? Like one of the leading examples of how to kind of build sustainability into our facilities, our buildings. Solar panels on the roofs of all these flat buildings that are in the sun all day long. Not only providing energy, not only providing kind of like, carbon-free energy for the schools, but also feeding back into the community, potentially lowering all of our electricity rates, right? I mean, once you start getting sane people back on the school board, once you get these Moms for Liberty culture warriors off the school board, what you can start thinking about is like you can open up mind space to begin thinking about creative solutions and different possibilities and planning for a future instead of kind of like longing for a past. So there we have it, Penridge Community Alliance. Check them out. Put the link will be in the show notes. And if you're kind of with us on YouTube, right, you check out the comments. I put that link down in there, right? I also want to give, while we're doing this, right, going to go through who we're going to vote for, right? And in terms of like, school board candidates, if you are in the Central Bucks School District, right, you want to check out Neighbors United for School Board, right? Let's remember Central Bucks, and we're going to talk a little about what's happening in Central Bucks. So the recent article that just came out in the, I think it was in the Inquirer today, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let's remember in Central Bucks, and very much this is kind of where a lot of people really started paying attention. Central Bucks is the third largest school district in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, right? It's a fairly wealthy district, right? And this is where you had these folk, in particular Paul Martino, right, who is the right-wing funder, spending all sorts of money, right, to elect extremist candidates, right? Got everybody worked up over COVID measures, right? And now is using that as a way to kind of fan the flames of culture wars, right? And elect the people that he wants. And I guess it helps the matter is that one of the candidates that he's supporting right now is his wife. But Central Bucks, again, how many times can you be in the focus of national media, right, and still maintain your reputation as a school board or as a school district? When do teachers at Central Bucks, well, they've already started leaving. But when does that impact become really impacting students? So now Central Bucks, the elections are a little bit different than they are in Penridge. Central Bucks elects people by kind of district or areas, right? So do check that out. It gets Neighbors Unite or CBSDNeighborsunited.com. CBSDNeighborsunited.com. These are the candidates that if you are in the Central Bucks School District, you want to make sure you're voting for these folks. Karen Smith, Heather Reynolds, Dana Foley, Rick Herring, and Susan Gibson. And, this is, and look, not just for me. I mean, again, I know that a lot of people that are listening to this, you have already been knocking doors. You've already been talking to people about it. You're already in those active conversations. But those links, right, sending those links around. Like, because one of the most difficult, you talk to people who are running campaigns, they'll tell you this all the time. One of the most difficult things about municipal elections, right, school board elections, local elections, is that their name recognition is just not there. It's just, I mean, our political culture in this country is not built around local knowledge and kind of local engagement, right? It's really focused in this kind of national spectacle kind of politics. So people know a lot about, they think they know a lot about what's happening at the national level, right? They know presidential politics, but when it comes down to local school board elections, right, you ask, hey, Dana Foley? And they're like, Dana? No, I don't think we've met. And like, no, she's a candidate for, school board at Central Bucks school district, right? It's hard to get name recognition out there. And when people are going to go to the polls, right, they're going to be looking for who to vote for. Right, sending this stuff over anybody send them this stuff. Let they have so they've got something in their hands that they can go so they know who they're voting for. Right, school board elections. I mean, I know for people who are engaged, this is not difficult. For those people who are kind of like not living, breathing politics all the time, right? Just knowing who to vote for is a difficult thing. Right, just because you're not familiar with it, right? You're not in that world. So make it easy for them, right? Say, hey, here's the candidates you want to look for, right? When you go out to vote on Tuesday, November 7th, make sure that here's your candidates, all right? I want to give kind of one more. And look, you're listening today, let me know. I mean, and you have a list of candidates that you think people should be, that we're going to add to this list, please do. Send me the links if there's links to particular candidates or particular collections of candidates, because I want to make sure they're included here. I also wanted to give a mention out here to Council Rock, right? In Council Rock, the reason why, and we'll talk about this shortly too as well. I mentioned this on the show last week, but in Council Rock, there are, again, more Moms for Liberty back candidates that are seeking to take over that district. And so now you have this kind of blanket organization Together for Council Rock, right? There are candidates, there are Democratic Party candidates that are kind of like actively campaigning for seats against these Moms for Liberty folks, right? There was an article in the Bucks County Beacon last week or a week and a half ago about exactly this. That's what we'll come and talk to. But I wanted to throw that link into chat today because I want to make sure that people know. If you are in the Council Rock School District and you're going out to vote on Tuesday, this is an absolute critical election for you too, to prevent your school district from going down the path that Penridge has gone and that Central Bucks has gone. You want to vote for Tracy Osecki, Ed Tate, Matthew Leskowski, Linda Stone, Kimberly Winnick, and Nikki Kahn, right? Head on over to togetherforcouncilrock.org, togetherforcouncilrock.org with that information. Even if you are not in Council Rock, but you know somebody who lives through Council Rock, say, look, it is so important that you get out there and vote on November 7th. It is so important that you cast your ballot for these candidates. And if they say why, you said, have you heard what's been happening in the Central Bucks School District? Have you heard what's happened in the Penridge School District? When these Moms for Liberty backed candidates take over, have you seen? And chances are they're going to be like, yeah. And if they're not, they're like, well, I'll tell you what. They're wasting tax dollars. They're having to kind of deal with all sorts of lawsuits. They're kind of attacking LGBTQ kids, right? They're undermining the curriculum. They're replacing it with this national Christian nationalist curriculum. I mean, just go through the list, right? Have a list of 4 talking points, if you will, right? But get this to them too, right? Together for Council Rock. So, yes, so critical. I wanted to, I don't know if you saw this or not, but this was just published this morning in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and it is Maddie Hanna, and it basically shows that the Central Bucks school board race has now passed $600,000 of spending. And as the little subheading says in the article, says the vast majority of money on the Republican side came from one man, venture capitalist and GOP donor who poured $500,000 into school board races across Pennsylvania 2 years ago, and is the bulk of the funding that is going into supporting Republican candidates this time around. 2021, right, for context, and this is from Maddie Hanna's article, right, in Central Bucks, which 18,000 students is the third largest in one of the wealthier districts in Pennsylvania, 2021's elections already saw far greater spending, with Democrats and Republicans raising a total of more than $200,000, according to analysis by one of the involved PACs. So $200,000 in 2021. Already, as of the publishing of this morning, we've tripled that. Surpassed $600,000 for this year's campaign alone. And here's the 2 voices. Quote, that number for school board race is really quite extraordinary, said Vince Galco, a Republican strategist who has worked on Pennsylvania campaigns from the local to presidential levels. Joe Corrigan, a Democratic strategist in Philadelphia, said he's involved in a school board race in Delaware County where Democrats are trying to raise $5,000. He said, that's pretty typical of these races, he said. 5,000 versus 600,000. So a little bit from the article. Right, most of the money going towards Republicans came from one man, Martino, a venture capitalist and GOP donor, right, who poured, as I was saying before, $500,000 in school board races across Pennsylvania 2 years ago. This year, Martino appears to have doubled down on Central Bucks, where his wife, Arati Martino, is running as a Republican for the board. Martino gave $187,000 to Bucks Families for Leadership, the PAC that he created supporting the 5 Republican candidates. He also gave another $40,000 to Stop Bucks Extremism, which mailed thousands of homes controversial flyers depicting explicit images from books the district pulled from library shelves earlier this year, calling on voters to protect the children against extreme Democrats who oppose book bans. Martino previously said that he gave Bob Solera, a GOP strategist based in Alexandria, Virginia, who was tapped to run Stop Bucks Extremism, he gave him a seed check to get his new PAC off the ground. However, Martino was the source of almost all of the PAC's money. Martino's contribution, beyond Martino's contribution, the PAC only raised $485. Martino went on to give an additional $52,000 to Buck's Families for Leadership on October 30th. A donation filed at the state level that came in the past the 2023 deadline period. So he just cut another check. This is what you see. I mean, we talked about this when we've had folks on the show here talk about the ways that some of these big money donors, the way that they work is they put in the money right after the filing period, right? So that doesn't count, so that people don't see it, and it's a big check. Here you go, $52,000. So as of October 23rd, right, Neighbors United, the PAC supporting the 5 Democrats, raised $194,686, with its largest donation, $40,000, coming from Turn Bucks Blue, a PAC that has supported Democrats throughout the county, right? So 40 grand from one PAC from here. That PAC also gave more than $8,000 to individual committees supporting each of the Democratic candidates, who raised an additional $122,963 on top of the Neighborhoods United group. The sentiment was that what's happening in Central Bucks and the nearby school districts in Bucks County is very, very alarming, said Bonnie Chang, chair of the Turn Bucks Blue. The PAC's biggest donor this year, Jill Kearney, founder of Art Yard in Frenchtown, New Jersey, gave the committee $100,000. A message left with Art Yard for a comment was not returned. Blah, 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 it goes on. Right? So here you got to understand this, right? Because this is what you're seeing, a lot of nonsense that's being floated about, like, oh, well, Democrats, blah, 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 blah. The only reason that you're seeing people stepping out and giving money on the Democratic side to this degree is because of what Martino did last time and continues to do. The recognition that Martino was basically able to buy school boards, buy the Central Bucks School Board through the donation of and through his PACs and through direct donations to candidates. And now we have a school board race that has over $600,000 in spending in one school district. I mean, you telling me that this is the best use of kind of community time and money, is to ensure ideologically driven culture war school board candidates get elected. You know, and look, well, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but, you know, I look at this and look, if you've been listening to this show for a while, you know that even when Sean used to co-host this week, Sean Kitchen used to co-host the show with me, one of the things that we always were frustrated with, one of the things I've been frustrated with, is that you have, say, Democratic candidates who refuse to kind of do politics, right? In other words, stake a claim, argue for a position, counter the other side's thing, right? But actually just wanted to kind of run the same old bland candidacy, right? And for years, you'd have Democratic Party consultants come from, depending on the election year, coming from either, you know, from Washington, D.C. or from kind of like the state, and they would consult candidates and tell them, you know, here's the messaging, you know, and they dust off their messaging that they kind of pick, they still are holding on to from the 1990s, and they say, this is what you need to do, right? You don't want to talk about abortion. You want to talk about kind of like women's health care. You basically want to make sure everybody knows that you're fiscally conservative. Make sure you 100% support the cops and and don't associate yourself with Black Lives Matter. You know, all that kind of stuff, right? You want to be as absolutely white bread and boring as possible. That was their model, right? Where, you know, white bread and boring, that's going to get you elected. And of course, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, it's been like political malpractice for decades. But that's changed now, right? And, you know, I got to say, it's changed I think in a really positive way on the Democratic side of the tickets. And by building local organizations, right? By having say, developing messages and arguments and campaign stuff that is not based on some sort of Democratic Party talking points, right? But based upon the experience of kids in schools, right? It's based upon what's happening in the community. And that's important, right? And it turns out that people care about that. November 7th is going to determine whether or not enough people are going to care enough to go vote, right? That's really the important thing. Will they care enough to vote? Will that message that we need to have school boards that are trying to make the schools as successful as possible for all kids, that have an eye toward the future, not in the 1950s, right? About schools that help support the mission of public schools, right, is to build democracy, right? Go talk to Benjamin Franklin. These people, these kind of Republicans like wave the Constitution, America, founding fathers. Well, go talk to the dudes who talked about the importance of publication, who was for sustaining democracy. Public schools became so important. The reason why, you have a guarantee of quality education in the Constitution of Pennsylvania is because of the association with quality public schools that weren't just about reading, writing, and arithmetic, but were about citizenship, right? Which were about the principles of democracy, which is not about fascism, which is not about exclusion, which is not about white supremacy. At least today it's not, thank God. That's why we need this stuff. That's why, but so we're going to see. We're going to see on Tuesday. I also want to kind of remind everybody that, the elections on Tuesday are, yes, school boards are absolutely critical, but this is also important that anybody across the Commonwealth, making sure that it's important that they get out there and vote. It might be that in their school district, they're not having these issues, so they're not as kind of like ramped up to get out there and vote on Tuesday. But I want to remind you too as well that that is not the only thing that is happening on Tuesday. In addition to these school board races, right? Where should we start first? Well, in addition to the school board races, one of the most consequential elections is going to happen from here is for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, right? If you were motivated by, and people were motivated by the overturning of Roe v. Wade, this election, Tuesday's election, is the anti-abortion extremist second bite at the apple, right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They have nominated Carolyn Carluccio. Republicans have nominated Carolyn Carluccio, who is a rabid anti-abortion candidate. And you can't do this. So you want to protect abortion rights in Pennsylvania? Got to get out there. Dan McCafferty is the Democratic candidate. Dan McCafferty. Sorry, I always say McCafferty because I knew of McCafferty. Anyways, Dan McCafferty. He is a Democrat, and he is going to help protect abortion rights because he thinks it's like this is what should, this is like the law. This is what, protecting everybody's rights. He is not an ideologically driven anti-abortionist like Carolyn Carluccio. And, I go to the gym a few times a week, right? And there's always the TV screens that are up there and just kind of pop around watching that. And the ads, the money that is going into ads for the Pennsylvania Supreme Court it's astonishing. And the lies that the Carolyn Carluccio's campaign is telling about Dan McCafferty is just crazy. But again, that's the way that these folks run politics, right? Truth doesn't matter. right? You go ahead, character assassination, do whatever you need to do in order to gain power. That's what they care about, right? And they're looking to, if they get that seat on the state Supreme Court, trust me, the right to abortion is then under threat in Pennsylvania. People like Planned Parenthood, like Political Action Fund, they know this. They are kind of campaigning hard about this. People who got behind wanting to make sure that we elect Josh Shapiro to the governor because he would definitely be a vote that would veto any anti-abortion legislation that came through, right? This Pennsylvania Supreme Court is the right wing's way to get around Josh Shapiro. And all of these anti-abortion extremists are motivated to get out there and vote for the courts. They have been for decades. That has not been true on the other side of the aisle. That has not been true for Democrats. But this is consequential day. Consequential. Please get out there and vote for Dan McCaffrey on Tuesday. Democrat Dan McCaffrey. And I'm going to drop in Catherine Caruso had a great piece in the Bucks County Beacon. I'm going to drop her article in chat right now, so people who are there have a direct link to that. Please share that around. I also am going to drop in the Planned Parenthood endorsements. Sorry for those folks listening on the podcast. And they'll lay it out right there. This is absolutely critical. Superior Court Judge Tamika Lane. Depending on where you're voting from, you're going to see that. Tamika Lane for Superior Court Judge. Remember, judicial stuff is important all the way down. Check out the Planned Parenthood endorsements. Like, abortion is on the ballot on Tuesday. Tamika Lane for Superior Court Judge. Jill Beck for Superior Court Judge. Matt Wolf for the Commonwealth Court. Make sure you get out there and vote. Make sure that everybody you know gets out there and votes. And let them know that this is at stake. They might not care about the school board elections, right? But this might mean a hell of a lot to them about abortion. And you know what? This is the kind of thing. This is the other thing that the GOP and the right wing understands, right? You get them motivated around something like this, the PA Supreme Court, right? Guess what they do? They show up to vote, then they actually vote down ticket too as well. The same thing is true on the other side. You let people know, except, again, it's generally the case that, progressives and the left and Democrats, whatever, are generally not as plugged into these things as the GOP, because they have an entire infrastructure built to ensure that their candidates get elected, and they're about gaining power, and that's it. But here we can do some of this, right? We can do some of this. Again, I know this is last minute right now, but people have been campaigning, people have been door knocking, people doing this. Dan McCaffrey, make sure you vote for him. Tamika Lane, make sure you vote for her. Jill Beck, make sure you vote for her. Matt Wolf, make sure you vote for him. Not only is abortion up in these judicial elections, but the election itself. Right? 2 days ago, Pat LaMarche, again, wrote a great article in the Bucks County Beacon about exactly this, right? Laying this out, right? Basically, these judicial races are the ones that are going to be making rulings over election law, Pennsylvania's election law. And so if all people care about is a presidential election and they were worried about what happened last time, this is another reason to get them and get out there and vote for these Supreme Court justice, the Commonwealth Court justice, and the excuse me, You know, and all judges all the way down the line. This is really important time, right? Just got to get that out to people. This is an absolute critical time to get out there and vote. One of the other things that I want to, I know this, look, everybody, I know that we are this is election heavy today. I get it. Municipal election heavy. But it is absolutely crucial. There is one additional, hold on, let me get this here. Oh my God, what did I just do with it? Here we go. So one of the other offices that's up right now, you remember, right? I mean, people were like thrilled about this, right? In the during the last round of elections, right? It was for the first time, right, in a long time that we had in 2019, Democrats took control of the Bucks County commissioners, right? They gained a majority on the board, right? Now these folks are up for election again, and again, you from everything from mitigation against climate issues locally to flooding that we've seen, how we grapple with this, to crime. We've seen crime plummet in Bucks County, in part because of the work that these Democratic Party commissioners have done, right? We've seen more openness and transparency in county government, problem solvers brought into county government. Right? So we've got, I mean, again, yet another reason, right? Diane Ellis Marseglia, right? She is kind of like leading the commissioners, right? She is up for re-election, as is Bob Harvey, right? They're running for re-election, and they have challengers. And yes, there's more money going in there, right? Because those Republicans understand they want to get rid of a Democratic Party majority. The Democratic Party majority is actually doing stuff that's good for people. And if the Republicans regain the majority of the county, then it's going to have an impact down the road. And I get it. Look, these are hard things. I'm going to throw, this is from WHYY. WHYY did a little profile, right? From WHYY. You want to check out like a little bit about their background. And one of the reasons why this is like such an important race too as well, if you read the WHY profile, or you're trying to go like Ballotpedia or something like this, all you're going to get, right, and this is even frustrating about the WHYY one, is like all you're going to get is like, you know, campaign statements, right? You're not going to actually kind of understand the political dynamics, right, and the power situation that's going on here. But this is critical, right? Getting out there and vote for Diane Marseglia and Bob Harvey is just as important as those school board races. Right? They might not be as in everybody's face right now, in part because they haven't been taken over by the chaos, because we've had a Democratic Party majority in there. Diane Ellis Marseglia, Bob Harvey. Make sure if you are in Bucks County. So, I mean, that's really where we're at, right? I mean, these are the big deal. These are the big issues right now. Oh God. I don't know what else to say about it. You know, I just like, I guess the one thing that I do want to say is that I hope people are taking care of themselves too. I have so much like respect for the folks that are plugging away day after day after day, knocking on doors, like talking to folks, putting out campaign materials, delivering yard signs. Every bit counts. Every bit counts. And look, you know, let's be clear. We've all got our work cut out for us, right? I mean, we got an election on Tuesday, but you know, as Karen Farron, oh my God, Kirsten Zolfo was on the program this past Monday, right, for Out the Coop Live, and you know, as she pointed out, you know, right after this election, we've got other stuff to pay attention to, right? Not only do we have the 2024 presidential election, but, you know, there's a potential government shutdown coming, right? You know, things like this. So we've got our work cut out for us, and we got to be into this for the long haul. And this is, I hope people are taking care of themselves, you know. I don't know about you, and this is a little bit off brand, if you will, but not off brand, but it's, you know, both between COVID and the Trump administration, I think I am only just now this year really coming to grips with how devastating that was, and the legacy that has stayed with us, like, you know, because it's been relentless. I mean, the Biden administration has, you know, has provided a little reprieve just at the everyday emotional stuff, right? It's provided a little reprieve in the sense that, okay, it's not like insanity every day. It's not like feel like you have to just kind of play defense and protect yourself every single day, protect people around you every single day. Right? Of course we still do, but I mean, it's like, it was so in our face every single day, and there was no rhyme nor reason to, and it was just coming at you from 1,000 different ways. And that, of course, was the plan, right? We've talked about this on the show before. And so just feel like me personally, feel like I'm just starting to catch my breath, be able to see, you know, further than, you know, the next room, and thinking about how to build, you know, I mean, where do we go from here? And I know that, you know, they see the organizations that have been built up in Central Bucks School District, in Penridge School District, in the Palisades School District, and what's beginning in Souderton and Quakertown and Council Rock, and is encouraging. And I just hope that we have the spaces that we're going to look for, spaces of care, right, for each other, right, that allows us more of kind of emotional range other than kind of anger and despair, right? And one of the things that's been great, you're hearing stories about folks that are out there door knocking, and there's a lot of people that are finding those spaces in those door knocks, right? Finding out that, unlike what it looks like at those school board meetings, there's a lot of people out there that are not invested in culture wars, right? There's a lot of people out there that are interested in a community, right? They're interested in kind of having things go well, about being respectful, about supporting each other. That's great. So there we have it. So Tuesday is the big day. We'll be back on Monday. We might have a guest. I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple of people, or we might just do a kind of a quick, you know, pre-election check-in. We shall see. I will be in my precinct all day long on Tuesday. Oh, it's going to be a long one. Staffing has been tight. I'll just let everybody know about this too as well. You can let people know this too, as staffing has been tight all over the place. I will hope there's a big turnout, and I hope that we end up with a kind of enough staffing at all the different precincts so that nobody's got to wait too long. But get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. All right, everybody. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all the kind of support and assistance that you've given all kind of both to us and really more to the community over this. Really kind of, here we go. Right here. Here we go. All right, this is Kevin Mahoney, creator and founder of Raging Chicken. Want to remind you You can help support the show by going to patreon.com/rcpress. You become a patron for as little as $5 a month. And, make sure if you're a podcast listener, make sure you leave us that review on the podcast app. I'll make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Little things like this help other folks find the show. Thank you so much for all your help and support. Thank you to all our patrons who make this show possible. And thank you to all those folks who've been out there doing the kind of the daily grind work of knocking on doors to ensure that our school boards and our communities don't go further down the hole of extremism. Thank you, everybody. This is Kevin Mahoney, creator and founder of Raging Chicken. We're going to go out and got a bunch of work to do this today. Got a weekend ahead and got an election to run. So here we go, everybody. See ya!